All right, popping back in for our last segments of the night. You know, the pundits, we have to come back and pop off on this fight with your boy Subriel Matias. Well, before we do that, this is your man, Professor Nils. I'm signing on with Casual Rand,
What up, though?
Coach Dave,
Earth.
Boston Jared,
Yeah.
and we are the pundits of pugilism. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. So, with your boy Subriel Matias, we've been accused of being some sycophants when it comes to this Puerto Rican assassin at this time, which I would disagree. At this point, I thought we've been pretty objective when it comes to his performances. But with that said, we did eat a little bit of crow this past weekend because the pundits who were at least were present, we did predict a Matias victory and I believe a knockout against little known and less heralded Liam Potro, the Australian from down under, is with Matchroom Boxing, and he was able to capture a championship at 140 pounds and had I would say one of the upsets of the year so far. When you look at the fighting odds, this has really thrown the 140-pound weight division into a flux. It has really tarnished the reputation, excuse me, of Subriel Matias. So, but first, we're gonna do a little bit, talk a little bit about his Subriel Matias performance, and then we're going to use that as a springboard to kind of talk about the implications for the 140-pound weight division, which we all agree is probably the most talented weight division at this point. So, Boston Jared, kind of give us a little bit of your kind of summation of this fight and where Matias went wrong.
So this fight began as a lot of Subriel Matias fights have begun in the past. You know, Subriel Matias kind of takes the first few rounds, 2-3 rounds, to kind of download the data, is what you hear from a lot of these boxing commentators. Well, he'll sit there and he'll come forward in that kind of zombie, kind of Terminator kind of posture, and he'll catch it, he'll block, he'll take a lot of shots, and he's trying to get the timing down, the rhythm, the cadence of the guy in front of him. Where this fight went wrong for Subriel Matias was that this guy, Liam Paro, and I said this before on one of our shows, this Australian school of boxing, whoever's teaching these kids how to box, man, is doing a tremendous job. All these kids are very, very, very good fundamental boxers. Now, what Liam Paro did that a lot of other guys did not do was simply turn Subriel Matias. I mean, when Subriel Matias started to get going and started to try to come forward and deliver those really, really thudding, hard arm punches, he answered back with combination punches, and then he turned. Answered with combinations, turned. And when he couldn't answer with combinations, he grabbed Subriel Matias. I thought he initiated the clinches a little bit too much for my liking. And I believe towards the end of the fight, he was deducted a point for holding, which was controversial at the time. I think, correct us in the comment section if we're wrong. I watched a kind of screwed up version of the fight on YouTube after the fact.
No, it's correct, but it's, you know, that referee has a long history of being just kind of very partisan when it comes to Puerto Rican fighters. Like,
oh, really?
I don't, yeah. And I'll kind of, but he, you know, the commentators spoke about it. They said that, you know, Pero had to beat Matias and the referee, but he did lose a point for holding. But
yeah,
continue.
But really, that's what it was, man. I was Cam, you muted yourself. I don't know if you did that shit intentionally or not, but yeah, I was really, really surprised at the lack of versatility that Matias showed. You know, you could see he's a guy who he has that one tool in his tool belt. At least it seems that way. And if that one skill, that one tool isn't getting the job done, he really doesn't have a lot of other tools to rely on. I've been a huge proponent of him. I have thought that that one tool he had was enough to beat most of the guys at 140 pounds. But having watched that fight, I really, really have got to reassess how I see fights with the other skilled boxers in the division. A guy like Richardson Hitchens, even a guy like Teofimo Lopez, who is very, very quick-footed and explosive and can make you miss. I have to really sit back and reevaluate how I would think those fights would play out. Look, this isn't Subriel Matias has lost before. He's lost to fights that he was supposed to win before. I've been watching boxing long enough to know that you can't just throw guys out after one or two losses. To me, instead of saying that Matias was a hype job and all this stuff that you'll hear from a lot of these other YouTube boxing commentators, these YouTube boxing personalities, I think Liam Paro has kind of ascended into the top 5 of the division. Do I got to walk back some of the stuff I've said about Matias in the past? Yeah, I've got to. But as far as being a hype job, I don't know. I think that he just came across the guy who stylistically is going to present some challenges to him, and he's going to have to make that adjustment if he wants to be able to get back and compete to unify and eventually undispute this division. This is make no mistake about it, guys, this is the deepest, toughest, most talented division in the sport. Any night, and as Garrett Russell, and as we saw with Puello and Antonio Russell, 1 through 12 in this division, any of those guys fight each other and they don't bring their A game, they can lose. This is going to become a more and more common occurrence in the 140-pound division.
So with that said, we're going to throw it to kind of Coach Dave. What do you think that this means for the 140-pound weight division? So, I mean, just to kind of put it into context, if Subriel Matias is not able to get the rematch, I'll have to go. I'll do a little research. I'm gonna see if there was a rematch clause in there. If it wasn't, that's just dereliction of duty for Matias promoter. If you're the champion and you have all the leverage, you should have had a rematch clause in there. But with that said, thinking about the champions at 140 pounds, so we still have Haney, who's a champion out there. We have Isaac Cruz, who's a champion. We have Liam Paro, who's a champion. And then who's the what's that?
Lopez.
Say that again.
Does Lopez have a belt at 140?
Yeah, and Lopez. Thank you. So those are what do you think that this loss means for the 140-pound weight division or whatnot?
Well, I agree with Boston again, man. I think it just makes so let me give you 2 implications in terms of just, really how I see it, man. So in terms of, as for the first implication would be, it definitely opens up and helps, folks to kind of quote, and I'll say it, save face. If there's no rematch clause up in that thing, I'll be trying to do whatever I can do to either fight somebody within the top 3, try to or try to get to one of the champions if possible. It's not bearing in mind all the promotional stuff or whatever. Devin Haney's name would be number 1 target or bullet, up on that thing. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, you lost, you still held your belt, this cat lost. Is there any way that we can try to make that fight happen? Cruz would be next, if that could happen. But the fact that he lost, man, and you got Romero that lost, you got Haney that lost. I don't think he needs to reach as far down as a quote a Romero to fight. I think he can stay within the top 3 across the board, or either try to get a fight with one of those champions if possible. He doesn't have to reach that far, but that makes that division just absolutely, utterly good. And even if he went and fought, against Garrett Russell. There's just opportunity for redemptions among fights that could possibly happen. You know what I'm saying? The ones that has lost before. So that's what makes it just good. If we can, you know, hell, I might even, if I was promoting, I might even call the damn card redemption. You know what I'm saying? So that's just one implication of that. But I want to say this too now, and some of y'all might say this is a far reach. I think because Subriel Matias lost, I think that one of the hidden implications is some type of marrying that's going to take place between 135 and 140. And I'm just simply saying that because even at 135, you know, these guys are talking smack. And now that Frank Martin has done lost and Lomachenko has lost, and you know, and the remaining two undefeated ones, I think, is Shakur and Tank. But because there's so much losing, you know, Haney going from 135 to 140, there's just so many different, I think, exciting fights that could take place in between those weights. Somebody might want to just say, you know, fuck it, I'm staying at 135. I'm trying to unify, blah, 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 blah. You know, if Tank get that fight with Lomachenko, hey, yeah, I might hang around so I can dust off Shakur or whatever. But I just think that with Matias losing, Haney losing, you know, Isak losing the Tank, but then going up to 140 to get a belt or whatever, all of this stuff, I think, just set the stage for a possible marrying between these two divisions, man. And we could see some serious cross division fights that just people might say that might take place. You know, hey, fuck it, you don't want to fight me here, I'm gonna go and fight there. It's just, you just never know, man. So those are two implications that I see, man. You know, kind of, you know, piggybacking on what Boston said about the excitement in 140, how I think his loss opens stuff up, gives room for redemption across the board. Haney, you know, Russell, Matias. Now, just mix it up however you want to, and it's still good fights. And then the cross-pollination ass whooping that could take place between 135 and 140, for lack of choice of a better word. That's what I think, man.
Cal Duran, right now, just with kind of letting some of the dust settle at this point, who would you rate as the top guy at 140 pounds? And then if you could do a mini tournament, like of the kind of like the top 4 fighters that, you know, 2 would fight each other and then they would meet up, and then they would meet up. What would you like that to look like if you had your druthers?
I mean, right now you got a hands down the top of the list is Teofimo. Even when you people count him out, and every time you count him out, he come and show improve. So he's definitely at the top of that list. Isak, to me. I mean, a lot of people are high on Isak, but he still got that Tank Davis loss on him. On one hand, Tank Davis loss that he has to make up for. And David Haney, he still got the stank of his last fight, no matter what drugs or not, man. He got his ass whooped. So 140 is wide open, and I can see Tank like bypassing the Lomachenko fight and then try to go fight Pero for the 140 belt. And then go back.
Why, no, bro? He would get like about a third of the check that he would get by fighting.
It's true, but
it probably end up in a tougher fight.
We seen crazy as shit, right? And then I want to go back to the Matias fight. So if you think about it, man, it's a tale of two tapes, right? Think about Tank's game plan going into the fight and Matias's game plan going into the fight, the first 4 rounds, and tell me what was different between the two.
Between Matias and Tank?
Skill
Yeah,
level.
between Matias and Tank. Both
Well,
of them just walked in and just tried to download the difference. Tank
was the
knew
opponent,
that he
though.
had to, huh?
I said the difference was Paro's approach was a little bit different than where Frank Martin went to the ropes and moved excessively. Paro moved very, very intelligently, man. He's turned and grabbed.
True, but the output, I'm talking about the output of what Tank did and then Matias did. Matias just went straight forward with the high guard, almost like what Tank did. But I think Tank knew that he had the power to change the game up. Fucking Matias, man, he was throwing punches in bunches.
It's
So,
skill
you know
level,
what I'm saying?
man. Like, look at how Tank moves in the ring. He's got quick twitch, muscle
Yeah,
fibers
yes.
that Sabril Matias
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I
not
just wanted to
have.
highlight, like, people want to come in and just like be like, oh yeah, man, good fighters give up the first 3-4 rounds and then identify how to beat this Joker. Man, that did not work because Pyro he kept giving it. You know what I'm saying?
Giving up rounds is never a good idea to me.
He took some shots, but he just kept giving it. And then like you look at the 10th round, you saw that Matias didn't have the strength to stop that dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Pyro kept coming, and I was like, he lost. So he lost in the 9th round because I was like, man, he don't have the power to catch up those rounds that he gave away.
That was another big thing, and you talked about comparing and contrasting Tank with his approach and his skill set versus Sabril Matias, his approach and his skill set. And one of the things I pointed out about Matias is not a guy that can get you out of there with one shot. Nope. He's a guy that has to beat on you and beat on you and beat on you. And if you're not there to be beat on, it complicates things for him because he's not able to dictate the pace. He's not able to land clean, hard punches. But the difference is with Tank, it only takes one shot for him to completely change the fight, which is a huge ability to have in boxing. Matias does not have that ability. Matter of fact, we pointed this out as a stat. The last 5 or 6 guys he fought were guys that couldn't continue, right? That quit on the stool. They weren't guys who he stretched out the way Tank Davis stretched Frank Martin, despite being a guy that looks to rehydrate significantly the night of the fight, man. He looks like a pretty hefty sized 140-pound fighter, man.
All right. So I guess go ahead, Kajran.
But to go back to your original question, I would say Teofimo, Isak, Haney. And I wanted to say Gary Russell, man. I'm so disappointed in his fucking ass this weekend, but I mean,
he'll be back.
That fourth person is a gimme. So whoever y'all want to stick in there at number 4.
There's a lot of guys in this division. I mean, this is like I said, this division is 15 fighters deep, man. At least 12.
I mean, give us if we had a 4-man tournament, who would you like to see within that tournament?
A 4-man tournament? I mean, look,
4-man tournament.
I mean, the easy thing is to start with the belt holders, right? Haney and Cruz and Paro and Teofimo Lopez, and just have those guys fight their number ones. You have Devin Haney fight Sandor Martin. Isak Cruz fights Barroso.
Well, no, I mean, those champions would fight each other. I mean, that's what I was thinking with the 4-man tournament, right? So you would have the semifinals and then the finals. So you thinking about a 8-man tournament like that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my mask. That's why they call you the professor.
I will put Paro as the 4th person, man.
I know. I kind of hesitate. I kind of hesitate. That's why
he's a champion now. And he beat a legit champion. There was nothing controversial about that result. I mean, you probably have Paro fight Teofimo, and Isak Cruz fights Devin Haney. I mean, that should be easy to figure out. You had the 4 champions, and you have them fight however which way you want to have them fight. I think it'd be much more interesting in an 8-man tournament where the champions fought their number ones.
Yeah,
I think would be much more interesting. But
I would grant you those. The kind of super series that's like that. I like those. They take a little bit of time to kind of culminate. But with that said, we're gonna leave that as a bit of a hanging chad and go ahead and wrap up for the night. So this is your boy Professor Nils. I'm signing out for Coach Dave, Boston Jared,
Peace.
the Casual Rand.
Peace.
Thank y'all for rocking with us tonight. Make sure that you like and subscribe and stay tuned for our next popping episode. Peace out.
Peace.